Well, everyone, it's that time again to do another mid-2020 review, and this was honestly one of probably the most hyped up phones last year, and it's so funny because it wasn't even a flagship phone. This was one of the cheapest phones Samsung made last year, and it's crazy that, how much hype a phone like at this caliber of price can bring, and I definitely do think it's super relevant now. We do have the A20s, we have all those other ones, we have the A11s that came out, and the plus one series, I guess, in a way. And I'll definitely tell you, I like the Galaxy A series. I think it's a great series of phones, and I don't really have too much to complain about. I think when people always look at, especially in this video, if I'm a little critical, it's always like, if you want a better phone, you can go get a better phone. You can go get the Galaxy S20 or the S10e even. I think that's a much better phone than this, but I have to respect Samsung for kind of filling a void. They have phones at such crazy prices all across the board, which I think is super impressive. Now, we did an early full review. This is not a full review. This is just quickly kind of hitting on the differences and upgrades and all that stuff. Now, with this specific phone, pricing wise, it really hasn't gone down too much from early on this year, which is surprising, so it's held its value pretty well. They're still selling about that $140 price tag, so you can always go and probably find it cheaper on eBay, but I will find the cheapest one on Amazon, which I think that is the cheapest one on Amazon, the 141, and I'll link it down below so you guys can get it from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting with the screen, it still has a 6.2 inch panel. It's HD, not full HD, it's 720p, but it gives the impression that it's much better than it is, because you do have a very lack of bezel, because you don't really have too much bezel on it, which is really nice. So you have a little bit of a chin, which is totally okay, and you have a teardrop type of design on it, which I think is really, really cool. But really, other than that, there's really not too much to hate on. It looks really good. Sure, it doesn't feel the best, and you can definitely tell it kind of feels like a Galaxy S4, but I think it still feels pretty good, and I think it still looks really good too. You have a standard micro USB port on the bottom, which is kind of weird considering we're all using USB Type-C, but still, it's a budget phone, I totally understand. And on the back, a single camera setup, and you do have a micro SD card slot on this thing, which is really, really cool. But other than that, it's pretty much what we expect from a pretty budget phone. So I think it looks pretty good in my opinion, though, for a $150 phone. Now, software wise, it did start with Android Pie last year. Apparently it got the One UI 2 update for Android 10, but I haven't gotten it yet. I checked 30 times. I still have not gotten that Android 10 update, which is really weird. I'm not too sure when it's going to come out for this specific phone, but again, I guess we'll see whenever that happens. But whenever it happens, best believe I'm going to talk about it. But the software, I think, is still one of those things that Samsung needs to improve on. Is definitely one of the most weirdest things about Samsung is just their software. Their hardware is really great, but not only the software itself, but the software lifecycle. I feel like they can do so much better when it comes down to just supporting their phones for a longer period of time. And I'm unsure about the A series. I don't know if they're getting the same versions of software as the S series, but I guess we'll find out whenever that happens. So that really pretty much covers up the software. Not much has changed. Performance-wise, it has that Exynos 7884 chipset, an octa-core CPU, and 2 gigs of RAM on the base model and 4 gigs of RAM on the top tier model. It's funny though, they both have the same storage, so the 2 and 4 gig models both have 32 gigs of storage, so it is what it is. But I think the performance of this phone is respectable. I think that's the best way to put it. It's respectable for a budget phone. It's not the best phone in the world. It's not the best phone for the price. It's not even the best performing phone at its price tag. I feel like for $140 you can probably get a Galaxy S8, and I feel like that would be better performing than this thing, but I still think it's a pretty good performing phone for what it is in a way. But I feel like in the used market, you can do a lot more with a little bit less, in my opinion. So that pretty much covers up the performance. Camera wise, it has that single 13 megapixel camera on the back. And weirdly enough, you can only do 1080p videos on that, which I still don't understand why that's the case. But again, it is what it is. You can take photos, you can take videos. The camera UI looks pretty good. But other than that, it's pretty much same old of what we expected. 5 megapixel camera on the front, and that pretty much explains itself. And ending with the battery, this thing has a 3400 mAh battery, which is still held up extremely well. It does an extremely good job, and it isn't removable, which is totally okay. But for a phone that isn't extremely powerful and doesn't really require a huge screen and 1440p display and all that, it's a pretty good phone. Yeah, it's a big display, but it's a low resolution display. It doesn't really take too much to power that phone up. So in my opinion, it definitely holds up extremely well. And I still think the Samsung Galaxy A10 is still worth it in the middle of 2020. I just think there's probably better phones out there for the price, mostly in the used market. So phones like a Galaxy S8, you might even be lucky and get a Galaxy S9 for less than that, but I doubt that. But at least the Galaxy S8, I would probably have that phone over this phone, to be honest, just because of the camera being better, the screen being better, the build quality being better, and all that. But I still think the Galaxy A10 has a lot going for it too. And for a brand new phone, I mean, it's a pretty decent priced phone in my opinion. So that's really pretty much it, guys. If you have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys would check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.